You're listening to Bizarre Buffet, a podcast of all-you-can-eat weird. I'm your host, Mark Torriello.
I'm Jen Wilson.
And I'm Mark Bluestein.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
When we first went in, one of the people said, "Who are you?" And Tex said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for listening to Bizarre Buffet, everyone.
Hi.
We're all excited.
We're just so jazzed tonight.
We're so jazzed tonight. We're feeling good.
Got my cocktails.
I've got my water.
Water. It's hydrating.
It's very hydrating. I feel like I just need to stay hydrated.
Oh, God.
Well, it's so damn hot.
I know. Oh, my
It's like
goodness.
muggy
I'm
as hell.
muggy.
It is.
This is like the most annoying time of year because I feel like sometimes I have to shower like more than once a day.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
annoying.
I know. I get home from work and I'm just like, just call a nurse for me. I need to be washed.
I hate when you could taste your own sweat.
Oh, yeah. When I'm walking the dog.
I don't think I've ever tasted my own sweat, but okay.
Well, la-di-da. Fancy
what?
pants.
All right.
I'm just
While we're talking about sweat and glamour and heat, I'm just so grateful to be in an air-conditioned environment.
minus this room.
Yes.
Minus
but
the
it's
podcast
not
room.
that hot in here. I know we were just discussing getting
Yeah.
a fan or something for in here that doesn't make noise, but
Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah, we
I
need
mean,
a bladeless.
the window's nice.
And if you ever hear birds chirping or people walking by, it's
Or
just
an airplane
or
flying.
an airplane flying by. Welcome to New Jersey. It's everywhere. So, what are we doing?
So since we're talking about these beautiful architectural spaces in the Bizarre Buffet headquarters,
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
I just want to know, what is the most beautiful building or home that you've been inside of?
I wouldn't say beautiful, but I will say something that has stuck with me was the Jewish Museum in Berlin, Germany.
Wow.
So not beautiful in like, oh my God, this is amazing, but the designer really put a lot of thought into the building, the interior itself. The section about the Holocaust, there were no windows and the hallways were very, very narrow to kind of give you that type of
Visceral
response.
Very constricted.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like every single exhibition had a different type of feel and vibe. Also, like the walls were white and the floor was slanted.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were walking down.
Wow.
They say, I heard that has a psychological effect on people.
Exactly. And that's, I think, what this particular designer was going for.
Yeah.
And I even remember there was a room. It was like you felt like you were in a like a well, right? Like there was like the windows were all the way at the top, but then they had these like metal faces that you could walk across. It wasn't like flat. It obviously like it was like you were walking over these like mounds of faces that were like symbolizing like the children lost in the Holocaust.
Oh, how dark.
It's very dark, and I'm not like saying like, oh my God, this is amazing.
No,
but more like it's something that has sat with me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like necessarily beautiful, but it was more, I appreciate going into buildings like that that are supposed to make you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm more about how you feel than like how it looks.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's beautiful in itself.
Well, the design kind of tells a story.
Exactly.
And a narrative.
And that's what I appreciate in a design.
Yeah.
And apparently like a lot of these buildings in Europe kind of, because of the war, were so badly bombed. Like these cities had to rebuild and they're very modernized now. that like architecture in Europe plays a big role in certain cities, like Berlin especially, because of World War II, because of the Cold War and the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
It's really, really fascinating.
Wow. I mean, that is very, that's very cool. I mean, in the sense of like the experience to be able to, you know, go through that set of emotions or something as a result of a space.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really cool. I guess mine would be, and it's not, you know, necessarily the architecture is very cool, but the Chelsea Hotel in New York is a place that I've stayed many times with Mark and other people. And, you know, it's a place that has a great amount of history. I mean, from hauntings to killings to Andy Warhol to, you know,
different eccentric artists and characters. And
exactly. You know, people who have lived there, continue to live there. You know, and to me, that was always a very special place.
If I'm not mistaken, our friend Anna Delvey spent some time at the Chelsea Hotel.
Oh, God, who let her in? Yeah. Jeez.
She probably didn't pay the bill.
No,
Probably not.
But, you know, I took a lot of photographs in there of Mark and friends and strangers who I met. And I don't know.
Beautiful photos.
Yes.
I'm sure, because they probably have your face on them.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like me 30 pounds ago. And I had platinum blonde hair. It was like white.
Yeah, he did. But that place always elicited an emotional response from me. It was inspiring. And, you know, I didn't have a haunting there. I kind of wish I did. But
that's what I love about architecture is, like, I guess coming from an artistic background, I'm, like I said, I'm more about how you feel in a space.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it could visually be striking, but it can have a cold, like, vibe to it.
Yeah, most definitely. Absolutely. And I feel like the Chelsea had all of that, kind of, you know? So, yeah, I guess that would be my my example.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you. Maybe we'll do an episode about it at a later date.
Yeah, I think we should.
Right.
Because there's a lot of...
There's a lot of great things.
Yeah.
We can cover.
I think you could probably do a whole podcast on the hotel.
Wow.
For me, so I like that you guys kind of said, like, oh, you can sense a vibe or feel an emotion from it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Shining, you know?
Yeah, most definitely.
You can definitely shine with the place.
Literally just talking about Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, Jen started watching Full Metal Jacket.
For the first time in my 31 years of life. And I decided to watch it at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit. Really not the best movie to watch.
Jen's going to have like dreams of being in boot camp.
Yeah, in war, boot camp.
Yeah, Vietnam.
Right. Stanley Kubrick comes out and he's like, Jen, you're not holding that gun correctly.
Exactly.
But like, I like that you guys picked places that kind of captured some sort of like an emotional energy. And I get that too with certain places as well in terms of design and everything. I wish my answer was as deep and as intelligent as yours, but
you're flattering.
one really cool thing that I got to experience, I was about maybe like 11 or 12. My family and I went on a vacation to Niagara Falls, Canada. And there was this building that kind of looks exactly like the Seattle Space Needle. And it's called the Skylon Tower. And, you know, I love those futuristic structures so much. So I was so jazzed that I got to go into it. But also we ate in a restaurant that rotated.
Ooh, I've never done one of those before.
No, me neither.
It's really cool.
Did you get dizzy or was it?
No, it's so slow. It's very slow.
Okay.
But when you get up and you come back, your seat's in a different place. So you have to kind of like find where it was. But it was beautiful because it's like a full 360 kind of scope. So you see Niagara Falls, you see the river, you see kind of the city of Niagara.
Okay.
You know? And I was just like so fascinated that this big ass structure actually spun around.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I know. I wish our home spun around.
I know. Jen, how can we make that happen?
I don't know.
How do you make a condominium?
Spin around. I guess everyone else who lives here has to agree to be spitting.
Well, once we become famous,
Yeah, we're waiting.
we're waiting.
We're waiting patiently.
When Mark and I become famous forensic scientists.
Yeah.
That's right.
So-
ballistic experts and astrology, astronomer
Well,
experts.
We were recording another episode, and Jen and I had this discovery that we are forensic people.
We are.
Forensic-
Yeah,
what
they
is it?
truly are. They have a calling, one could say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to the field.
Like Jen's very factual
Yeah.
about it and getting like the research and the facts about it, and I'm like, you know, a little more abstract about it. So I think we would be like a good combination.
Yeah.
Like I
Find.
said, in another life, I'm going to be a forensic.
Maybe in this
Scientist.
life, baby. Who
Maybe in this-
knows?
you know, life
Listen,
is-
you're still young,
I'm
hon.
still young. I know.
Anything can happen.
Anything
Any-
could happen.
This could be
Hey.
your platform.
This could be exactly.
Somebody might hear this other episode. I'm assuming it's going to be released before this one, but like,
Yeah.
You never know.
But like, somebody could hear it and they could be like, Jen Wilson, you just, oh my god, or Mark Torriello.
Well, we had our crack the case episode.
We
Oh,
did.
yeah,
Jen
that
was cracking those fucking cases.
Jen was left and right.
bitch.
I think you need to reevaluate your
I should.
calling here.
Maybe I need to.
You're gonna be a forensic scientist, and then you're gonna tell Mark and I the dirt, and then we're gonna do podcast
Yeah.
episodes on
Exactly.
your cases.
Absolutely,
There we
because
go.
I don't know. Like, could you still do it, the podcast, if you did that? Like, would it be infringement of like things? I don't know. I guess we'd figure it out.
Probably wouldn't be able to talk about what I'm working on.
I know. We'd have to call you a different name.
You
You'll
probably
be
have to call me a different name.
Sheila
and-
Wilson.
Sheila?
I don't know why. It's just the first name that came to me.
Okay,
But it's
that's
not.
fine.
It's not a
That's
particular
fine.
emotional attachment or anything.
Okay. I kind of like Janice.
Oh, Janice. I'm a fan. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, Janice. Sheila's kinda-
Janine.
Janine.
Genevieve.
I was going to say Genevieve. Or Jennifer with a G, although you can't hear
God,
that.
I
Jenny.
hate people who spell Jennifer with a G.
I know. They're probably
so
bad.
yeah.
I know.
Like that actress Jennifer Goodwin. She's not even a good actress.
I don't even know who Jennifer Goodwin is.
Exactly.
So there you go.
There you go.
There's too many G's.
Too many G's.
Or like the Jennifer spelt with two F's. Have you ever seen
Oh,
that? Yeah, it's so
Jennifer.
stupid.
Looks like Jennifer.
It looks like Jennifer.
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 Pfeiffer.
So, Mark,
Yes.
tell us about
Our topic.
our topic.
Okay, so
I like that button,
So-
Zowie.
So basically, as you guys know, I'm a huge architectural enthusiast, and I love Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes, we
And
do.
in another episode, we talked about this fun experience where Mark and I got to spend the night in a Frank Lloyd Wright house
We did.
in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And it was
kind of frightening.
scary as hell. It was like gay bash city.
Yeah, we weren't
population one.
We weren't welcomed folk, if you know what I mean. Saying it without saying it.
They got the pitchforks and banjos.
It's like Deliverance.
Yeah, like All right, so let's get into it. Frank Lloyd Wright, how does he fall into the world of Bizarre Buffet? Well, a lot of people know him for being this amazing architect, but he also has a tragic past which involves murder. So let's get into it.
Oh, Frankie Frank.
So let me just like kind of break down who he is, what his aesthetic was, so that
Yeah.
way anyone that doesn't know, you guys will understand.
But I also feel like people who don't know who he is, like, knows his work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've probably seen it somewhere, and then you might hear this and be like, oh shit, I've seen one of his
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that museum before.
Yeah.
So Frank Lloyd Wright was a leading American architect and designer of the 20th century, and he lived from June 9th, 1867 to April 9th, 1959. His aesthetic is very modern, very ambitious, and he kind of became known for this philosophy called organic architecture.
Granola.
Sounds very lovely.
Did you just say quinona?
Granola.
Oh, I just said granola.
Granola architecture.
Yeah.
And the best way to describe this architecture is that it's kind of integrated with nature and doesn't really disrupt the natural landscape, and in some cases enhances the landscape.
You know,
Beautiful.
I just have to say, like, the word organic used to piss me off in college when, like, my acting professors would be like, that moment was just so organic.
Oh, God. Cringe.
Like, yeah, it's cringe. I fucking hate the word organic.
That is cringy.
Even though, I do eat organic for the most part, but still.
But you're
just-
never like, everything's organic.
Yeah.
It just
you know?
happens so organically.
Yeah, organically.
So do bowel movements if you're lucky.
Exactly.
Yeah, really.
But no, I think that's really, I've always thought that was really fascinating about Frank Lloyd Wright and how, like, he just kind of combines architecture with nature.
Yeah. And he does it in a very beautiful way.
Yeah.
So Frank Lloyd Wright, he built homes, he built commercial spaces, schools, hotels, museums, and so on. And some of his most well-known designs are Falling Water, which is a beautiful modernist home with a waterfall that literally passes through it.
Oh, it's stunning.
He designed the Guggenheim Museum in New York City, which is that white spirally.
Which in my 31 years I've never been to. And
I've
I'm
never
like,
been either.
we should do a trip.
We're going to go.
I've always wanted to go and I never have anyone that wants to go with me.
Well, we'll all go together.
There we
and
go.
I'm about
Good
to
idea.
embarrass myself and say I've never been to the MoMA either.
That's okay.
You know, I actually just recently was at MoMA, but no, I've
Okay.
never been to the Guggenheim, and I feel like that's like a place. When I tell people that, it's like, you've never been to the Guggenheim and you live in the tri-state area.
Must be nice to have the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Sorry, we work.
We do.
I was very fortunate. I got to go, but only one time, and because I was an art school trip. But I was more into the actual architecture than the art that was there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because I was like, the architecture was way cooler than like the Kandinsky
Ooh,
paintings.
Kandinsky.
Abstract cubist man holding a violin. Well, that would be Picasso.
I love Picasso.
She's using her degree right now.
Picasso.
But yeah, so he did the Guggenheim Museum in New York City, and my personal favorite, the Ennis House, which is a Los Angeles mansion, and it's been used in films like House on Haunted Hill,
Yep.
which we have a
Yeah.
clip of in our Bizarre Buffet intro.
We do. There'll be food and drinks and
Maybe
ghosts.
murder.
Maybe perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
And the Ennis House was also used in Blade Runner,
It was.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Oh, God, it's been everywhere.
Mark Torriello favorites, and the Ennis House. It's like all those cubes, and it's just
It's like
fabulous.
when I would say that it's kind of like a greatest hits album song. Like if you know Frank Lloyd Wright at all, or like if you have a slight knowledge, you probably know him because of this house.
Yeah.
And it's also on YouTube, and there's a really fun realtor who's very pretty and like likable. And she's like, and this house could be yours for $27 million. And like she makes
doesn't
me
blink.
I know, she doesn't blink twice. It's like she's telling you, like, and your Taco Bell order is $20, which is an expensive Taco Bell order, but still.
Well, his homes also are known for featuring large flat planes, unusual angles, and a lot of glass.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
I love it.
So nice.
Yeah.
I would strangle, like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but I would do a lot of things for Frank Lloyd Wright House. I'm
Oh,
just
me
gonna
too.
Put it that way.
Me too.
We'll
Well,
end it
that's like,
there.
I always say that when I become like famous and get like invest in a lot of money, the first thing I'm doing is buying an original Warhol.
I love it.
Work.
I love it so much. Which one would you want?
That's a hard one.
I know. There's a lot of good stuff. I want an electric chair. I want
But
them to.
maybe what we can do is we'll buy a Frank Lloyd Wright house, get an original Warhol, and put
Okay.
the electric chair inside.
Exactly. And then we'll have no furniture.
Exactly.
And everybody will be forced to sit and look at the house and the Warhol.
In the electric chair.
In the
That's
electric
it.
chair. I'm sold. I'm ready to do it right now.
So with Frank Lloyd Wright, we now know his greatest hits.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go down the bizarre buffet. hits.
Rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole.
I love that rabbit hole.
So one of his designs was a home that he built and called Taliesen. I hate saying Taliesen. It just sounds weird and doesn't feel right on my mouth.
I know.
Oh, you know what? That's like what I say about the word heirloom
Oh,
Yeah.
that's very similar.
or ladle.
Oh no.
Ladle. But why is there an H in heirloom?
Oh, I hate the word heirloom.
No. I mean, really, it's stupid. Stupid.
Well, Taliesen. Let's get into it.
I'm here.
This beautiful home was built in 1911 on a 600-acre piece of land in Jones Valley, Wisconsin, and the land belonged to his grandfather, who was one of the first settlers in the area. So already, the land has a lot of meaning to Frank.
Where did his family come from?
They were immigrants, I know. I don't remember where from, but they came to America
Okay.
They
to
came
live the
here.
American dream.
Probably on the Mayflower. I mean, we are talking 18 something, right? I don't know the Mayflower's departure
Wow,
dates. You'll have to
Mark.
forgive me, historians of the world.
Way before the 1800s.
Maybe the Mayflower.
The
went-
Mayflower sister.
Maybe the Mayflower went to the Wisconsin River because it sits next to the Wisconsin River.
Maybe they came on the June flower.
Well, we should know by now that Mark Torriello and Mark Bluestein know nothing about geography
Or history.
or history.
Or math.
Exactly.
But
so-
somehow we've been minorly successful.
Exactly.
So the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Oh, yes, I know them.
And wait, is that?
That's Christopher
Oh
Columbus.
God. Okay, we're canceling him right
and
now.
he's been done canceled.
Cancel culture.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, so the
Nobody
Mayflower.
wants him in his tights and his weird hats.
So apparently the
man.
Mayflower and the Titanic went to the Wisconsin River.
with Frank Lloyd
With
Wright's
Frank
family.
Lloyd Wright on it.
Okay, cool.
And the house was built and it became his primary home and studio for most of his life.
Now, is this home still standing today?
It is. It is still standing.
I'm still standing.
The home's been
I'm
through.
still standing. I'm so out of tune.
Well, I don't know what that song was.
It's Elton John.
Oh, okay. Well, this home has kind of been through hell and back.
I can't wait.
So I guess you could say it's Frank Lloyd Wright's Hell House.
Oh.
But basically, yeah, it was his home and his studio for a bulk of his life. And, unfortunately, Taliesen was ruined 2 times due to major fires. But just to describe how the house looked like, it's multiple flat plains made out of natural limestone. And the home has multiple wings. One of them was even dedicated to agriculture. One side of the home was his work studio, and the other half was like his living space. And the house has been described as low, wide, and snug due to the narrow features throughout all of one story. The home was built after this is where we get salacious.
Oh.
I love salacious.
I know. Someone called Jenny Jones.
1900s Jenny Jones.
The home was built after he left his first wife in Oak Park, Illinois, for his mistress, and her name was Mamah. Mamah Borthwick.
Okay.
Wow, that's a name.
And she kind of became the talk of the town since
Harlot.
she left her spouse and children, which is like, a big no. God forbid a woman makes up her mind and
Yeah.
does something back then.
But Frank Lloyd Wright can dick everyone in town and it's fine.
Well, she left her husband and kids to be with Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh my God, those poor children. Mamah, what are you doing?
I know meme.
I mean, good for Mamah.
Yeah, that's true.
But she was an American translator
Oh.
and a feminist. Apparently, Mamah was not a very nice woman and treated you according to your class.
So much for being a feminist.
Exactly. Fucking asshole Mamah. Fuck you. Fucking bitch.
So she was very rude. She treated you according to the class that you were in. So if you were the help in her home, she treated you as such.
Wow.
Lovely lady.
So she wasn't really that nice. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So in 1911, they had moved in, and Wright continued to work on his commissioned architectural projects, even though he was struggling to get work because of the negative publicity after this whole scandal and romantic affair that he had with Mamah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, during his free time on the property, he planted fruit trees and such, and Mamah would also spend time with her 8-year-old Martha and 12-year-old John.
Martha and John.
Martha and John.
So now we know, like, what the family dynamic was kind of like. We know what Taliesen was all about.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, not long after Taliesen was built, did this place just take a dark turn, where there was murder
Oh my
and
goodness.
blood and beautiful homes
Oh, shit.
and
No.
and more scandal.
Okay.
So let's just talk about the days leading up to the murder, because things are a little bit weird here now. So the Wrights hired Julian Carlton, who was a 31-year-old man, to work as the chef and servant at Taliesen for that specific summer. Carlton was an Afro-Caribbean of West Indian descent. So Carlton was originally from Barbados. He was, employed as a servant by other colleagues and friends of Frank Lloyd Wright. So he was recommended to work for the Wrights by Frank Lloyd Wright's friend John Vogelsang Jr.
Oh, Johnny.
The junior's like that important, but all right. So originally, Julian, the servant that they hired, was a very friendly presence on the estate. Everything was fine at first, but then as time progressed, Carlton grew increasingly more and more paranoid, and it was most likely due to mental illness. Which, as we all know and have discussed several times on our show, is that that's something that was not taken seriously back then.
Absolutely not.
It wasn't really even known about.
Especially, listen, during this time, even less.
It was also said that he had stayed up late at night with a butcher knife,
Oh, no.
looking out the window. And he also became really argumentative and irritable towards the residents because, Taliesen was such a big space. They had like a wing dedicated to anyone that they employed. So the behavior had been noticed by Wright and Borthwick. And they were like, okay, this guy, he's acting weird. He's acting crazy. We need to replace him. So they had issued an ad in the local paper for a replacement cook. And Carlton was given notice that on August 15th, 1914, that would be his last day of employment with the Wrights.
Okay.
So before he left, Carlton plotted to kill the residents of Taliesen. So his primary target was draftsman Emil Brodel, who had called Carlton a...
Trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger warning. But
I just have to say
Emil called him a quote-unquote black son of a bitch
What a fucking dick.
on August 12th.
I would have killed him too.
For basically, he got called that for not following an order, which is
Yeah.
so stupid. And so all this happened. The massacre at Taliesen is considered one of the worst mass murders in Wisconsin history,
Well, damn.
where 7 out of the 9 residents were brutally murdered.
Wow.
And leaving this home to allegedly be haunted because,
We love haunting.
something crazy happened.
Course.
And out of the 7 victims that were killed, it included Mamah, her children, the draftsman Emil Brodel,
Sounds like he really had it coming. I'm sure the other ones did too.
the gardener Lindbaum, and handyman Tom Brunker, and Ernest Weston. And Ernest was the son of a carpenter, William Weston. And basically, Frank Lloyd Wright dodged a bullet because when this was going on, he happened to be away on a business trip in Chicago.
Oh.
Interesting. Maybe he had them killed.
Who knows?
Scandal.
So on August 15th, Carlton grabbed a shingling hatchet and began an attack.
Oh.
He started with the Borthwicks. They were waiting on the porch off the living room. Mamah Borthwick was killed by a single blow to the face, and her son, John, was slaughtered as he sat in his chair. Now, Martha, the little girl, managed to flee, but unfortunately was hunted down and slayed in the courtyard. He then coated the bodies in gasoline and set them on fire, ultimately setting the house ablaze.
That beautiful house.
Yeah.
Oh.
So after that, Carlton then turned his attention to the other 6 residents, and he literally started pouring gasoline underneath the floor of the far end of the residence, setting it on fire, and everyone was kind of trapped in the home as it went ablaze. One of the victims, the draftsman Herbert Fritz, he managed to break open a window and escape, though he did break his arm in the process. While the house was burning down, Carlton also entered the dining room and killed Brodell. He then, this part's really creepy, he then hid, waiting for other residents to try to escape.
Oh my God.
So as they were like getting out, he would like catch up to them and kill them. As the foreman William Weston and his 13-year-old son Ernest ran through the door, Carlton attacked them with the hatchet. And the Westons escaped, but Ernest eventually died from his wounds hours later.
Shit.
So there's like a lot of shit going on. Like you have the house on fire. You know, the first round of killing Mamah and her children, and now he's killing like the rest of the
But the
staff.
fact that like he was hiding and like waiting for people to escape.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So towards the end of this whole escapade, Carlton sought out the final 2 residents, and that was laborer Thomas Brunker and the gardener David Lindholm. Now, Brunker and Lindholm managed to fight off Carlton and escape, but died days later from their intense burns and injuries. So with the house empty, Carlton ran into the basement into a fireproof furnace chamber.
Oh.
He bought a small vial of hydrochloric acid with him as a fallback plan because he was going to kill himself. So in case the heat became too much for him to handle, he was going to, I guess, consume the hydrochloric acid.
Okay.
He did attempt suicide, but failed. He ended up dying in jail from starvation since he was unable to eat food due to his ingestion of this hydrochloric acid. So it did catch up to him. As for his wife, she was banished to Chicago with only $7 in her name.
$7.
Wow.
And she was never to be heard from again.
Oh.
So
I think I would want to run away too if like my spouse did that.
I'd be embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of, I think, the equivalent of like how, you know, John Wayne Gacy has children that are still alive and like a lot of people, but like you would never know because they all have different names. Like no one's going around being like, oh, yeah, let me just be asked for the rest of my fucking human life if, oh, are you related to the clown killer?
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't fucking want to hear stupid ass people. People ask stupid questions enough as it is.
I mean, I would try to get a book deal.
Oh, totally.
Or if Oprah existed back then, I would try to...
And do the tell-all.
The tell-all, yeah.
Well, I think John Wayne Gacy's sister was on Oprah, but anyway, let's continue.
We love a tell-all.
We do.
So now, okay, Taliesen got jacked the fuck up and burned down. All these people were killed, and Frank Lloyd Wright was very sad.
Yeah, and Mamah was an
Mamah.
asshole, and so was that guy who made that nasty comment.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of vile going on there. But,
Yeah.
okay, so now here's the sequel, Taliesin Part Two.
Oh, the remix.
The remix. So grief-stricken, Frank Lloyd Wright was determined to move on and decide that in the spring of 1915 he would rebuild Taliesen, calling it Taliesin 2.
How clever.
And in 1923, he married an eccentric woman, and the marriage went sour quite quickly, making, living at Taliesen not so fun for Frank because
Yeah, really.
he was with a real joy kill. And they ended up getting divorced in 1924. So moving on to April 20th of 1925, Taliesin 2 had another fire.
Oh, God. That house just does
know.
not want to exist.
I'm sorry, but if there was a mass murder in a home, I don't think I would want to rebuild it.
Well, this is a subject that we could have a whole episode about because I have many thoughts on this topic.
I know, but still,
I
I don't
know.
think I would do it.
Yeah.
Because, look, now we've got Taliesin 2.
Taliesin.
Let me guess, is there Taliesin 3?
There is a Taliesin 3.
Of course. The Taliesin lives.
I like the Poltergeist trilogy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that.
But I think for Frank, because him and I are on a first name basis.
Oh, Frankie.
Yeah.
Franklin.
Yeah, Frankie Wright.
Frankie was probably like, you know what? This land has so much meaning to me because my ancestors owned it.
Who came over on the Mayflower Part 3.
Mayflower Part 3.
Like Taliesin 3.
So,
Don't
yes.
forget the Titanic Part 3.
That's right.
So, Taliesin 2 had another terrible fire, and this time the fire was not caused by murder, but by shoddy electric work that had been done inside of the home, and
That'll do it.
That'll
Yeah,
do
sure
it.
will.
It came from a telephone that experienced an electric surge during a storm. So now Taliesin 2 burns down, and now we have to do it all over again.
Oh, God. It's a Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Murder edition.
Taliesin Part 3, which is the one that is still standing today. No fires.
How impressive.
Yeah, no fires yet. But if it burns down, I feel like we're like the Oracle.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first.
So once again, Frank rebuilds Taliesin, making it bigger and better.
Of course, like you
Yeah.
do in America.
Always.
But still with the same design elements as the original. This eventually became his final resting place until, get this.
He buried there?
He was buried there, but his daughter insisted on having him exhumed and
For what?
moved.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe like she
Rich
was-
people, I tell you.
Where is he now?
I don't know.
Where is
Maybe
Frank
like
right now?
maybe like in the ground.
Maybe in the on
where
floating
he is.
somewhere on the Titanic 4.
Titanic.
And as a side note, I think we should do an episode on like grave robbers because I was reading all about how Charlie Chaplin's corpse was stolen. Did you know that?
I knew that.
I
yeah.
wanna get deeper into these stories.
Yeah.
I had to spit my ice out. Sorry. I was like,
Steal
You
a
didn't know
corpse.
that?
I heard that, but I just hear like Benny Hill music for
Benny-
some reason with the corpse. I know Charlie Chaplin and Benny Hill are not the same, but I hear that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty
Yeah.
much. It's appropriate.
So Taliesin 3, this beautiful masterpiece,
Yes.
it still stands this day as
As
a
of
national
now.
landmark. And
As
it's,
of 10/17 on June 21st.
yeah, and it's studied and admired by architect enthusiasts. And
murder
murder. And I
podcasts.
Man.
And I think that's really fascinating because that is a big massacre. You're talking, I think, 7 or 9
I think it was
victims.
Yeah.
And they were pretty brutal deaths. It was like with an axe,
A hatchet.
a hatchet
Which,
axe.
fun fact, Lizzie Borden did not kill her family with an axe. It was a hatchet.
Oh.
Yeah. FYI.
And, just the fact that this gruesome thing happened to such an iconic architect, in a beautiful home, you don't really ever hear about this story as much.
It's fascinating because it's just a different avenue of somebody who is very famous for
Right.
doing, I mean, these amazingly, beautiful homes and buildings. And, I feel like your brain doesn't normally associate like these types of stories with like certain types of like people or
Yeah.
instances or like because, he died in the 50s or something.
Yeah.
So he was old as fuck. So you don't really think of like mass murder and like true
Right.
crime related stories
Yeah.
in like this area, I think. So it's really interesting.
So now that you guys know that it was built, burnt down, built again, burnt down again, and built again, do you think that it could be haunted? Because now that the original structure is gone, do you think like the land is cursed?
Oh,
or-
yeah. I
Yeah.
would think so.
Could be. I think it could be.
But I mean, Taliesen 3 is still standing today,
Yeah.
so
She's there in her glory.
yeah.
I've heard they've gotten the blood out. I mean,
Okay.
no, I'm just being silly, but no, I think it could definitely be haunted. I think anytime something like that happens, like, that was truly like ambush style, like everything.
Yeah.
Like, damn. Fascinating story, Mark.
Yeah, that was
Thank
really
you.
fascinating.
Thank you for sharing.
Sad.
It is sad, but you know what? Mamah wasn't nice.
No, she wasn't, and neither,
Neither
was
that Emil.
Yeah, that email.
Emil.
She was probably like the mom from Titanic when she was like, "Are the lifeboats seated according to class?"
Yeah, I am like,
my
yeah.
God.
That was Mamah.
I'm pretty sure that was Mamah for sure.
Probably.
Oh my God. Well.
So that concludes our story, folks.
Oh, I hope you enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I did.
I enjoyed it.
All right, so I think people should know how to find us.
Absolutely.
So on Instagram, we're Bizarre Buffet.
And on Facebook too.
Yes, and on Patreon, we are also Bizarre Buffet. So we want to thank all of you so much.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I am Taliesen 3.
I am the Guggenheim.
And I am the first Taliesen where all the murders happen. So
Ooh, dark.
Oh.
anyway,
Bye.
Bye.
bye bye.